We'll call to order. Roll call. I think we know from the Zoom thing that everyone but one commission member, Megan, is on. So we'll start with the approval of meeting
I
minutes.
guess with roll call, would you mind? We were finding when doing minutes. Tara's been writing them out, but she may actually. It looks like everybody here is listed, so never mind. People like if she sometimes she can't see who's there, and then she didn't have a voice to attribute to the name, but everybody's got it listed tonight, so I think we're fine.
Yeah, no problem. We'll make sure going forward too if we don't have the name on the the person's box, so to speak, that we do the roll call. That's a good call.
Yeah, and I think particularly like when it's like a part in person and online, there's people behind the camera, so they're talking, so she can't see who it was. I think that's what happened over at GCC.
Yep, not a problem. We can
Perfect.
kind of form things going forward. Not a problem at all. Easy to do. So approval of meeting minutes. So they were in the packet here. I think they're page 3 onward or something like that. So kind of with that, I know I'll kind of go the comment I had, and then you did send out an updated one, I think, very recently. And I did not look at that updated one to be transparent with you, but on the original one for meeting minutes, I noticed that one, my name was spelt wrong, which really isn't a big deal from the approval, but there was on the who made the motions, the person who, there was no names in who made the motion and who seconded it. So I did not look at the one you sent out. I think there was one you just sent out yesterday. I did not have a chance to get that one. Was that corrected? I know that was the only comment I had.
Yeah, that was what was corrected in the minutes, and then I think a couple spelling things were also corrected. And I think that was the major shift in the minutes.
Okay. So I did not have questions. Let's open up to the commissioners before we, vote, make a motion to approve them. Any comments from any other commissioners or questions?
I don't have any comments.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, perfect.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as corrected.
I will second the motion. All in favor? Aye or raise hand.
Aye.
All right, all accepted. All right, next one, citizens petitions and comments. First, Ben, we'll start with you. If there's anything from you that you've heard from citizens petitions, then we'll go to the commissioners.
I didn't have anything. I don't know. I mean, I had some follow-up chats with golf course people, but they can probably fall under the lines in the agenda later on. I know if they were here, I think that's where we were going to put them, but neither of them were able to make it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Appropriate on the lines. Commissioners, any feedback from any of the any commissions? Feedback.
Not this one.
Nope.
Me neither.
Okay. Yeah, I did not have any direct feedback from citizens in the last month. So we'll move to town council referrals then, Ben.
Yeah, I don't think we had anything from them.
Okay. Correspondence communication. So I don't know. I think we should vote in the future, just have citizen petitions and correspondence be the same thing, but here nor there. Any feedback from other commissioners that want to go over? If there's something in the specific thing, like in the director's report or any of them business, we'll take care of it there, but other open floor for commissioners right now.
I have one. I just sent a proposed change to the cancellation policy of the golf course. I just sent the email to you guys. I didn't send it to you, Ben. I don't. Oh, yeah, I think I did. Because I did notice that in the new software, they have a cancellation policy in there. So what I did was I pasted that out, put it in the email, and below it is my proposed new cancellation policy, which I'm sure we're going to have to go over. I don't think the current cancellation policy, as it's written in the software, complies with what town council wanted last February. Okay, so that's it.
Got it. So just, yeah, I don't know if I think it'd be a good one to chat next week at the golf course one, but just so we're all kind of aware, I just opened it, so I'm reading it for the first time, and other commission members may have the same thing. Is the new software the one up top, and then the proposed one is what you're proposing, just so I'm aware that
Yeah,
the billing
yeah.
policy, the new software is what
Yeah.
active, we'll say?
Yeah, I was surprised it was in that software. Yeah, I was surprised they put it in there, but they did. I don't think any of us discussed it with them before they put it in. Didn't make any sense to me.
Ben, do you have
Okay,
any
yeah, I mean,
idea?
I think,
I didn't
I
get
think
what
we
the
should go-
policy was, so I can't, I'm not sure if it's what Todd had spoke about with the software, but I could kind of talk about a little bit of that with, when we get to the golf course stuff. Or
Okay.
if you want to
That's
send
fine.
it over to me so I could see what it is.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now, Ben, the one that's in the software, and let me see if I send it to you.
yeah, so why don't we, now that we have it, Ben, when you go over golf course stuff, at the end, if you don't cover this, we'll just add that to the end of your kind of spiel for golf course.
Okay.
Right. Other commissioners?
Nothing.
All right,
There you go. I just sent it to you, Ben.
we'll move to reports then. So Ben, director's report usually, you know, Mark, give us a quick summary, not read the whole thing, give us a quick summary, and then we can ask questions. So I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to mention in the elevator speech at all from the director's report.
I guess a couple things, I mean, the big things that happened, we had the PQ play day, but we'll touch on that later on. But we had our national karate championship, which is always a huge event at the community center, which, you know, was another great event with 106 people there. We're excited. The pump track finally opened up and they got the platform built, which looks fantastic. And it seems like it's getting some pretty good use already. They had a great turnout that day. We have bikes down there that were available for people to borrow that Bike Groton is going to have there. When they get back, they're away for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to be working with them to see how those loaner bikes get used on a regular basis, if it's sort of special event days only or some other way. But kids were kind of, hey, let me try out this one, let me try out that one. But that went, you know, great day and seems to be well received. I guess the other exciting thing is that we have roller hockey back down at the rink, which has had a 2-year hiatus since we had the boards put up. And our previous hockey director got a new job and had to step away after, I think, 11 years we've been working together down there. Ray is a huge credit to like just how big the hockey program and successful it was and kind of getting the new boards in there. So we appreciate all the work he did for there, but unfortunately he had to step away when it was all coming back in. But we kind of wish him well and are sort of looking to fill that gap. Right now it's, we have a volunteer running it with the help of other captains, and it's really kind of grassroots based a little bit more just so they could get out there playing again. I think those are the kind of highlights that we had. And I don't know if anybody's been down to Esker Point, but it looks fantastic down there with the plantings, and they did some painting on the building, which has really sharpened it up down there. So thanks to our parks crew for doing that. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It actually looks really nice down there.
Good. I was going to ask Ben, is the hockey director a paid position or volunteer?
The current person is doing it on a volunteer basis to just help orchestrate the league, but it was a paid position prior to that.
Thank you. As far as you know, you're gonna be refilling it.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, we'll look, we're kind of seeing how this system works, but yeah, I mean, I think ideally the goal would be get somebody that knows hockey and, you know, wants to dedicate some time to it. The way it's set up now is how it had operated for a number of years, and it took us a while to find Ray. Luckily, he stuck around for a long time. So it doesn't, there wasn't anybody immediately identified as like, oh yeah, this guy's in the league. He wants to jump in and do it. So, you know, we're sort of in that transition period that it's a little bit tricky.
Sure. Thanks.
Thanks. I had two questions from the director's report. The pump track, so it looks like, you know, it looks like a good success. Is it, and I'll be transparent, I don't really know anything about pump tracks. Saw a couple of YouTube videos, right? But like watched them when I did not get to make it to the opening day. We were in New Hampshire, but it looks like from the pictures, I mean, I remember driving by when it was under construction. It looks like it's all dirt. Is that true? And is that like a sustainable, like I've seen some videos where we put bricks in them and stuff. Like, again, I'm not no expert. Like, do we think that's a sustainable track going forward, or do we think that there's got to be something done? And I know it's just open, but I'm just asking because I don't know anything about pump tracks.
Yeah, so it is just dirt, but it's a specific dirt that's kind of supposed to hold up to that. So I mean, there will be some maintenance to it, but it should hold its form pretty well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
and
then
I
it's
did like
just kind of open all the time there for people to go use kind of daylight hours.
that makes sense. I do like stats. I think they kind of help us tell the source of truth, so to speak. So there was a new one in this report. I was talking about work orders. It was on page, I don't know, page I'm on. It was, I think, 13. So it's an interesting stat, right? First time there, so, you know, don't have any baseline from the good, bad, and different. But when I look at like average days to complete, right, kind of high, maybe that's normal, so I'm not throwing any stones, but it would be interesting if we could have maybe added for the next report. I like the stat, but, you know, could we overlay, whether it's 3 graphs or 1 graph, I'm not going to go be picky, but it'd be good to understand, like, we have the average days complete and the work orders completed, you know, in this time frame here. But, you know, seems good from a work orders completed, but I have no relativity into, like, is there 100 work orders open, but we only completed 25 in June and July, and then we're really, like, you know, are we excelling? Or are we kind of like not excelling? I don't know how to read it, so it would be good to have some more basis to it to be able to form some conclusions.
Yeah, that is a great question. Like looking at the work order system, like, so we're putting in pretty much anything that we've ever asked parks to do. Like previously, it would have been like, "Hey Jeff, can you come do this? Hey Tabitha, we need this done." You know, from simple things to complex things. So everything is getting loaded in there. So some of the things are like, "Hey, we need this done in 2 hours. Can you get it done?" But it's helping build a track record for the year of kind of things as they come up to help get them on an annual calendar. Everything that we're sending over for Park and Rec, like they want it at least 2 weeks beforehand, and things even farther if we know it. So it is a good question. Like, are things staying in there 60 days? But we put it in there 60 days ago to make sure they knew about it well in advance. But it only took them, you know, an hour to do once it was time. So yeah, I'm sure Tabitha can kind of give some better stats on that.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, like I said, first time I saw it, so, you know, it's good because to me, I think it helps drive to, like, when we talk about park maintenance and manning, right? It really helps drive, like, do you need more? Do you need less? You know, you might be using it for some, I don't want to call it strategic. I would consider replacing a park strategic, right? That's probably not so much a work order, but like putting a new bench in a park is probably a work order. If someone complained about a bridge that went out someplace, right, that's probably a work order. The fence thing that we've talked about, you know, 6 trillion times for the golf course taken out, right, that's probably a work order. Those would be good things to track because then we really can understand how long it takes to do it. Do we need more staff? Is our staff efficient? Like, I think it gives good data facts that if we, like, for you to help internally manage, then also if we have to justify something to town council or ourselves or CIPs or whatever, it really helps us justify. So if we're just starting to use it, great, you know, let's dive in. But I think think we could use it to our advantage, in my opinion. Some people might say it's a disadvantage. I think it's an advantage because it lets you kind of really understand how you're doing business,
Yeah.
and if you're doing it well or not.
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge asset that she's gonna have. And those things that come up annually, it's like you already have them kind of marked in there when they already did, and so we can see all of those. I know it is in our old recreation software is where the work order system through parks still exists. And for at least the recreation side of it, it was pretty robust with the type of reports and data you could pull. So they may have a lot of options out of there, but I've only done it on the kind of sending it inside and can see the list.
Okay, yeah, so my feedback would be is like it, maybe if we get some more context for future directors reports, you know, I don't want to dictate what that context should be, but that would, to me,
Yeah.
would be helpful. If commissioners can comment. Those are my comments from the director's report. Thanks, but floor is open for others to ask questions or comments.
Yeah, Ben, this is Jim. Got a question on the chart on page 12 of the package, the labor totals for the third quarter. I guess that was be page 6 in the
Yeah,
in the section. Who owns the equipment for the field and turf maintenance and the mowing and trimming and all that stuff? Is it by Public
Parks.
Works or Parks and Rec?
No, I would think probably most of the stuff in here is parks owned.
So it's Parks and Rec equipment?
Yes.
Where is the Park and Rec equipment?
Down behind the town hall annex is their garage.
Oh, so they have a separate, a garage that's separate than the Public Works garage.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. If you go around down back, there is where all their equipment is and their kind of maintenance garage.
And is there like a
No mechanic. There's
is
no
there a-
mechanic at this point.
Okay. Oh, there's still no mechanic?
No, I don't believe that position's been filled yet.
So that's that maintenance is being done by the golf course mechanic and Public Works mechanic?
Yeah, I think it's those couple things, and then maybe even sending some stuff out.
Okay. And the equipment is actually run by Parks and Rec employees?
Yes, yeah, everything on that graph is the Park and Rec employees.
Okay.
I mean, and
Alright.
there's I'm assuming that's what Tabitha would have put in there. Like she wouldn't be putting Public Works time in there. But like we
Yeah.
do coordinate some of the projects with them. Like they were just down at the pickleball courts, saw cutting in where the islands will go. So they'll come down, you know, with their equipment. But
Gotta check that out sometime, that shed. Who's Tabitha?
Tabitha is the manager of the Parks Department.
Okay, so she put this stuff together.
Yeah.
She works directly for Mark?
Yes. Yeah. She's the Parks Division head.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. She's in, I think that picture of right above that chart is
Yeah.
her holding the shovel. If I was able to zoom in, I think it's her.
Okay. So she's in the shed, the annex there, or is she in a Spicer House?
No, she's has an office down in the garage.
Oh, she does. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Huh. All right. All right. That's my only question on the park stuff. I do have a question on the golf course section.
Any other questions on the parks one from anyone?
This is Elizabeth. I want to go back to the reports on the work orders. I've had my hand up for a while.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yep.
That's okay. Do the work orders all have the date of desired completion on them? Is there any way
Yes.
of indicating the deadline?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So we'll kind of put in who's requesting, what we're requesting, where it is. what the due date is on there, and then there's a kind of section for notes of any of the other stuff. And it tracks like when we put it in there. And
Because
then she'll check off once it's complete. So like you'll be able to go in there. If I had asked for something instead of having to call now, like I can just open it up and see that it was checked off, that it was done.
so the due date could be a metric to be measured. That
Yeah,
could
if
be,
they're meeting those due dates. Yeah.
yeah. And it also gives, it would also give a picture of what interfered with meeting the due date.
What was that last part?
What I'm thinking is if we have that as a metric, we can know whether there's been something to cause a delay in the due date being met.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree. I think you can get trends out of it. That's what I was getting at. Some more context would be good. Cause like you said, due date, like, maybe some stuff is past due date. Maybe there's a good reason why. Maybe like we relate to it, but like, it would be good to understand some trends. I think that's the key. 100%.
Yeah. So far, my experience has been great. I mean, they seem to get stuff done kind of when it's needed to get done, even when it is a last minute. They've been pretty on top of it.
Anyone else for director's report?
Yeah, I got a question in the golf course section.
Yep. So we'll move to golf course. Let's let Ben, I think you had some stuff you wanted to voice over on golf course, and then we'll open it up for questions from the commission.
Well, I want to ask specific question on the numbers that in the report.
Yep, that's fine, but let's let Ben give any brief you have on golf course, and then we'll jump to you first for questions, or whatever you got questions on in the content. So Ben, you're up.
Yeah. So I talked to the about the software a little bit more, and I think you had some questions on, like if the kind of town attorney had been involved. Right now, I guess they're just experiencing a lot of just things not working and trying to get those fixed with the software company, and just hearing complaints every day. Their feedback is that the software company hasn't been quickly responsive, but they don't feel they're at a point that like, all right, we got to abandon this right now. And it's kind of, let's see how this works out. But there are some things like, I know Todd mentioned, like one of the things was charging a person if they don't show automatically to the card. That the software doesn't actually do that. You can put a card number in there, but if you show, it doesn't automatically charge you, which was one of the things that I think was, I guess, desired with the software, and maybe one of the reasons why it was picked. So they're just, I think, frustrated that things aren't happening as fast as they want it to, plus still being a fairly busy time at the golf course. It's, they're having, issues with it. But they're not.
Ben, didn't they test that first?
I assume there was some testing, but I don't know how prolonged it was. And it's one of those things that's like, you're either on it or not on it. And you're still like, I mean, and this is some of my assumption, like, I mean, they're still in a pretty busy time at the golf course right now. And so going live at a busy time, you're going to end up with some people that, I mean, technology, whatever you do, is going to have some bumps. But I mean, I'm sure there was some testing offline before they went live with it during that couple weeks that it was down. There just wasn't any software going.
Well, that's not the way software is tested, Ben. When you test software, you develop what they call scripts with scenarios. And one of the scenarios should have been that if a person canceled, the software charges the card. That's in a test mode. That's not an issue with the
and
vendor.
that particular issue was discovered in their implementation. Like, it was like, all right, how does this happen? And the company was like, oh, it doesn't do that. So that didn't even make it to the test phase. Yes, before they went live, it was like, all right, I'm sure they worked through, can I book a tee? Can I cancel a tee? When can I do it? Like, am I able to do it this many days out? Are those parameters that they wanted to do working? And that is some of my assumption. I don't know exactly, how they did that. I wasn't involved with any of that process.
Peekaboo, I see you.
But with it, they feel like kind of, trying to work through this and get it to work is the better spot at this point. They don't believe, I asked them if there was a time frame, like, do you have 30 days and then you can get your money back or don't have to pay? Todd didn't indicate that was an issue. So I think there is time to be able to see if they're able to address these issues that they're having. And for the November meeting, they can probably really be able to talk about this is where the failures were, or this is how it's working well now.
Yeah, I think, it's smart to give them time to work through it. I kind of agree with Jim. I am in charge of implementing all manufacturing technology for our company. And we've learned some hard lessons the hard way, I'll say. So, I think it would be good as part of the November brief to understand, did they have documented requirements? Did we pass those requirements to the vendor? Could the vendor check off they could meet them all before we invested in it from a town, taxpayer dollar perspective? And then did they make us broken promises they said they could do and they couldn't? Or, I think those are all good things. Like Jim said, there's test scripts, right? You should have test scripts for use cases. Some things you can do in a test and dev environment, some things you can't. But, understand that if we just went in with a couple conversations and, went to purchase software, to me, in our world, that would be a critiquable event. And that would be a big problem, right? That to me, that's a gross sport abuse of taxpayer dollars. So, I don't want to say that, I don't know, but I think a brief on that next month would be very good for this.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure Mark, Eric, and Todd can speak to that, because I would agree. I mean, when we switched to my rec, it was like it was multiple meetings of walking through everything they could do. Let's, and on implementation, kind of doing those things. So, yeah.
So, yeah, but I'll let you continue. I'll look forward to that for next meeting, but we'll let you go through more stuff, and then I know Jim has some questions. So,
Okay.
Hey, Mike, just one thing before we move on. For the November meeting, I'm requesting that John Burt be there, because I think we ought to make decisions right there. And I'm not sure what he knows about what's going on in the rec department at the golf course. I don't think he knows how bad it is. It's bad. Okay. I don't know how much Mike knows. I don't know how much John knows. But I know what the players know. And it's not good.
And Jim, since I'm new to the commission, can you tell us who John is?
John Burt's the town manager.
Oh, okay.
He's Mark's boss.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
is that the structure of the town? I didn't know who. I figured Mark kind of reported to the mayor, but is that how it works?
No, he works for
the town manager, and then and town council. But yes,
okay,
the town manager is his kind of direct report.
There's no mayor in the town of Groton, though, right? Only in the city.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a mayor in the town of Groton. The town council counselor who gets the most votes gets to be mayor.
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
Actually, I think it's the council votes on who is town.
I think
it's usually the biggest vote getter, but not always.
Yeah. Mike, going back to that, I think we ought to request that Bert be there.
Yeah, I don't see that be unreasonable. We can document that in the meeting minutes, and then you can pass that forward.
Okay. Who's going to make the request to Bert?
I would assume that would come from Mark.
Okay. Can you make a note, Ben, that I'd like to see him there?
Perfect. All right, Ben. Floor is yours again.
And then I guess the other thing to kind of talk about is the flag placement. In talking to Eric and Todd, I know Todd feels the traditional course, keeping that flag system, but they didn't. I don't know where it got lost that like, hey, you have to have this changed by a certain date. Um, kind of fell through. Whether it was they don't have flags to be able to do it that quick, they didn't want to do it, or somewhere along the lines it wasn't discussed before Mark went out. But I'm sure that could be talked about in detail, and you know the way to go when you guys are all together.
Yep. So personally, I'll say, got it. Mark was out on surgery, so I'm not going to go press the issue, but to me, it was clear as day is here's the action, here's the timeline, document it in meeting minutes, pass forward, execute it, or come back and say, well, you can't. And the fact that neither one of the golf course folks is at our meeting tonight, I want documented, to me seems very unacceptable from the clarity of the text and from that. So stock that in the meeting minutes. Understand Mark isn't here. You're kind of helping filling in, Ben, appreciate it, but I'll let you speak on that.
We've talked about it for 2 years at least. So I don't know. I don't understand the delay.
Sorry, Elizabeth, I just couldn't hear you. What did you say? You couldn't understand?
We have talked about the flag system for at least 2 years. I thought it was very clear, and I'm surprised it hasn't been done.
Correct. Thank you. Okay. Yep. Understand. All right. Ben, anything else for us? And then we'll jump to Jim. He had some questions.
No, I mean, those were the two kind of things that came up.
Okay. Jim, floor is yours. I know you had some questions, some numbers. Take it away.
Yeah, on the golf course, on the page 9 or 15 in the package. See those numbers down there?
Yeah.
Revenue?
Yes.
I noticed that the cart fees, they went up about, I don't know, 10% year over year. It's, that's okay. The greens fees went up by 28%. I think that reflects the fee rate increases. I'm just interested in one thing on the current quarter. You see that $12,000 of season passes in the third quarter? See that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's only Groton residents, because remember well, I don't know if you knew, Ben, but they put a cap on non-Groton new season passes.
I knew they did that. Yeah.
Can you follow up with Todd that is just Groton season passes, Groton residents?
You're looking for like a kind of an email follow-up, right, Jim? Just so we're clear.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
Yeah, and I know to expand upon that, it's a good question, Jim. I think I took it when we voted, and this is just me kind of remembrance that it was no new non-residents can sign up, but the current residents can renew their contract. Maybe that was wrong. So I think
I think hopefully that's what it is. It's just
so there could be non-residents in there. Maybe when you asked Mark, but was it non-residents that were, I'll call it, grandfathered in? So just to clarify, I think it will help you out with the question, Jim.
Yeah.
So really, it's confirming that wasn't any new non-resident passes being sold in there.
Right. Yep. And one thing on the picture above, the irrigation repairs have been completed. See that picture, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay, on that subject, the irrigation repair on the green, on the second green, the big bald spot on the green wasn't fixed.
So,
They said they were gonna fix that. Just call it the bald spot. Well, it's like the little pond now. On the back of the second green. Just keeps getting bigger every time it rains. And I don't know why it hasn't been filled and seeded. I don't know how many times I brought that up.
Good follow-up item too. Concur.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Yeah, okay. They did
now
paint.
is that an irrigation problem back there, or I guess
Well, I
just to
think
clarify, or is it just a
Eric, I
rain
remember-
retention thing?
Yeah, I think I remember Eric saying about a year or two ago that there was a drainage problem there. So I would have thought they would, if there was a drainage problem, they would have fixed that. And then maybe fix the green, or maybe it's not, and they can still fix the green. I don't know why he's not doing it.
I think it'd be a good punch list item for next meeting for the golf course staff to address to us.
Yeah, I'll put it in there though, that it was specifically asked about.
Okay.
Anyone else for golf course Q&A? Okay, move on to Trails Coordinating Task Force. Did that 10 times fast. Ben, I don't know if you have anything on this.
Yeah, no update on that.
Athletic fields, Ben, floor is yours.
Yeah, so we had our first Pequannock play day, which was we've worked with Northeast Academy to add a color run to it, which was kind of the anchor of the whole day. They supplied Northeast PTO supplied all the color for it, all the volunteers, which I mean, it really added to the event. We're hoping that aspect and this becomes an annual thing. It may not always go to the playground, but at least for the first year, it ended up being like a nice way to kind of kick that off. We had about just under 100 register for that specifically. Then we had a number of people that just kind of played the games down there. Overall, we brought in $9,366, kind of including sponsorships. So it ended up being a pretty good event. Kind of just smaller community day that kind of hopefully just kind of keeps getting bigger as we go along.
Well, any commissioners go there? Any feedback from anyone from pros, cons on the design or of the day itself?
Yeah, we do have a meeting scheduled in November to have a kind of wrap up meeting about everything that happened that day, what worked, what didn't. Like we had some like kind of ticketed, you could do single tickets to play a game that, you know, there was only a handful. So, you know, probably don't need to do that. But we'll run through things like that. And, you know, what are the things that we want to do annually? The other thing I noticed, because I do the field bookings, there was a number of other events that happened, like family day events from other organizations that all happened sort of around the same month. And, you know, maybe we have one kind of Groton day in the fall to, you know, with all of these groups instead of each one trying to do their own thing that are, you know, fairly similar and feel, you know, right around the same time.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's what I was hoping when we met that new, I call it outreach coordinator, or I don't remember her name, but we met her at one of the meetings. I was hoping that's what we would do. We'd organize a couple of events, like, you know, a Thrive list if you have the good Christmas one, but like, something like that, I thought that it would be good to have 2 or 3 of them in the town, really get the town together, leaving all the political and everything else stuff aside, just a good town event to get everyone out and enjoy the town, right? For young folks, older folks, mid-age folks, just a good get out, enjoy the town. They had a similar type day in the Washington Park for the city. I thought it was a really good event. So I think something like that, I think is good and beneficial. And if you can get multiple organizations to tie in, right, just gets that much better.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I have for athletic fields is, so I've been kind of informally talking to a couple of the athletic field task force members also. There is a semi-interest to host next week I'll call it an info session, a lunch and learn, dinner and learn, I guess, for the referendum coming up on I think it's the 4th of November, sometime in November, I think it's the 4th. So I did talk to John Burt today about, feasibility, restrictions, things of that nature, what's possible, what's not possible. I talked to Dan, one of our elected officials on it. They both said not a problem to go do it. You can't sway folks yay or nay. You can't, sort of like when you walk into election polls, you can't be like trying to sway people, but you can list out facts. We put a fact sheet together. John said you'd have no problem taking a peek at it to make sure it kind of conformed to what, the town's allowed to show. So I think that I am going to try to work with the coordinating task force to put one of those days together next week, maybe on the 20th or 29th, kind of TBD on the exact date. If there's interest, really was more of here's a 5-minute spiel on it. Here's a handful flyer. If people have questions, more of a Q&A for the town. They can come if they want. If anyone's interested to kind of potentially work with me to do that, feel free. And then Elizabeth, is Thrive, is that main auditorium open? Like, how do you quote unquote book it? Like, if we wanted to use that space, how could we do that? I think you're on mute too, Elizabeth. So
Sorry about that. You have to book it because we
Okay.
have community groups that use the community room all the time. And I don't know if the Groton Theater is holding anything right now, but that would be the one possible fly in the ointment. But the best way to
Okay.
do it is to call the front desk, or once you have a date, I can check with them.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to email the task. And I was going to talk to John today. I was going to email the task force, just to see if there's still interest or whatever, and then kind of last minute, so, try to make a decision tomorrow if it is. Try to put some stuff out there so if people wanted to go, right, at least there's on the calendar something like a half-hour session. Don't want it to be super long, drawn out, more just here's some facts. Kind of my opinion, compilation from the report that went out. Like the report from whatever the Kent Frost, right? Kind of a one-sheeter, a couple bullets on that. People have questions, you can answer them. If they don't, whatever. It's more like, I almost envision is like back in 2020 when they had the schools go up. They had a night where that team went there. Similar, exact same thing, right? Ask questions. They gave a 10-minute speech or something on it, and then people just asked questions, and they gave them stuff that was fact bulletins, and then everyone made their own decision. I think the schools one had 40 people show up, but that was the idea and concept.
I think if we have clarity about what the actual tax impact is for homeowners, it would be really important to clarify that.
Yeah, and I did talk to John a little bit about that today, because I thought originally when we talked about it, it was not gonna, the taxes always kind of get raised every year because of inflation and everything else, right? So with that aside, there was originally discussion about, I had originally understood that, and I don't know the tax numbers, but the schools had, there was going to be a decrease from the bond type thing from the taxes, and whether that lower taxes or not, don't know, but maybe it's, the inflation equal that, whatever, but that, there wouldn't be an extra cost to homeowners that fields would be absorbed in, it was going to go down $50, but then the field was $50 more, so it's really a net sum neutral, so to speak. John indicated that's not exactly true, although you're not going to be paying for the whole thing. It's not like a 1-for-1 swap. So I was going to put together what I thought was right when I sent him a thing to say, hey, can you look this over? Because I know when I looked at the fact sheet the town put out, it was a little confusing to me of what was there. I took it as everything is a cost plus. And I don't think that's the case, but I don't want to misspeak, right? You want to give people the right info, and myself included as a voter, right? I want to understand that, I think it should be a fact of, hey, it's this cost per every $100,000, the average price of a home in Groton is this is the average cost increase. But because there was a school decrease, the average quote unquote increase, this is the cost per the year, then the average increase is X. So if it's a $50 cost increase, maybe the cost increase is $40 or $10, right? Because 40 was from the school. So I think that type of clarity, I agree with you, is something that I think that people are going to look for. And I'm actually looking for myself as a voter. But I do agree that we need some clarity like that.
Yeah, that's
we need
on
to-
the information we're able to share that's at the end of the packet. It has the impact on the mill rate category and a chart for each year and what it'll be for every 100,000.
I did see that, but what it didn't indicate is that there was supposed to be a drop because of the bonding from the schools. It didn't take that into account. So in my opinion, you're not giving people the whole picture. You're just saying this is the cost, but really the taxes were going to go down because of the school. There was a decrease because of the school, bonding coming to an end. And when you don't give that picture, then people just think you're adding more stuff onto the plate. But really, you're taking something off and adding something. And what is that next sum? That's what I agree with you, Ben, but it doesn't give you the picture.
I think the other thing we need are the pictures from the original task force report that showed the condition of the pitch fields and why this project is so important.
Good call. Yeah, I agree. I was putting together some hey, there's not enough fields, but I think great some current state pictures and the average lifespan of a field just from an industry, I think is two good facts, right? Not saying we should redo them, not saying we're not should redo them, but you could show the current state of affairs. People can visually get an effect on their own, draw their own conclusion. I 100% agree with you. Right? I was skeptical personally at first when I went down and saw, I'm like, why do we got to redo this track in high school? And then I went and saw the condition of it, and I'm like, get it, got it, understand. But it was just a visual, me just physically going down and looking, I got it. But I'm like, so you could draw your own conclusion. You might be like, oh, good enough, happy with it. And you're like, oh yeah, that's really good. So I agree, a visual is going to help people out, I think, a lot. I mean, it's nice to see the new concept, but if you don't know the current state, you don't know,
But they got to see the reality today.
Yeah, I agree. And I think doing that for all the fields really should be in the info packet, even though the strategic, because one of the things I want to put in the strategic thing is strategic vision is 3 areas. This referendum is for this area, but people need to understand the strategic plan and then the ask of the referendum, because otherwise people, I think, are not going to understand we're going to come back to you in, I don't know, a year, 3 years and that's the same thing. They're like, why? At least they understand the town has a plan. Here's the plan, and here's what we're asking for you of the plan now. But other thoughts, feedback from folks on deals?
No,
All right. Unfinished business. November fields referendum ballot text. So Ben, I will turn that to you. I don't know if I think there was some info in this, but I don't know if there's anything you want to mention about that. We just talked about it a little bit.
I guess, some of you may have seen the stuff that they put out first that was very impactful diagrams and it had a lot of that stuff. Here's the old pictures. Here's what it means for this group. Here's what it means for that group. What is here was what the town attorneys supplied to us that us as a park and rec can put out. This is what soccer club can put out. This is what the football club can put out. This is what the athletic field task force can put out. And not those other things that we had. So this is what's kind of out there now that it's on the ballot. It, kind of really needs to be just text-based information essentially. And that's for us as a group, unless you're registered as a I'm drawing a PAC. If you're registered as if soccer club had a PAC, they could do whatever they wanted with this and encourage you to say do it, don't do it, one way or the other, but without being registered that way, they can only give this information.
Okay.
And so that's sort of where this simpler body came from all of that other
Got
stuff.
I understand. Thanks. I mean, there's So I got it. You got regulations what you can put out. I don't
Yeah.
think it gives the full picture to people.
But
know,
each of you,
either way.
like, you could go, as me, Mike, this is what I think about the project. You just can't be representing the commission.
Understand, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that as a resident saying, hey, I've had experience in this, but this is, if I have to kind of preface it with, I don't plan to say vote for it or not. If people ask, I'll give them my personal opinion. But to me, it's here's the facts, and if I have to say that as a resident, I don't mind that. To be honest with you, alleviating myself from any town thing, because it's the more facts the better decision you can make. And hiding the facts to me is extremely problematic as a resident voter, father, person that does work, like all that types of stuff, right? So like I'll represent me only. That's fine. Oh yeah, thanks.
And that's why I've been talking to my peer group, because I'm interested in the ADA improvements that will be made for the pitch field, and because it's very important to my peer group.
All right. I think it's a good thing to put in the notes. Thanks. Yeah, I can make sure we look at that, and that's a good one. All right. Going back to the agenda, hang on. Sorry, I only have one monitor on my computer right now. So. The November meeting location. So Ben, can you verify? I know we originally had talked about changing it, location. We don't have to talk stream agenda, but what is the plan for next month so we're all aware?
I believe, I'd have to look, I think it's November 19th. Does that sound right? At an earlier time? Were you guys thinking 4 o'clock?
Probably because of the golf course employees would be meeting earlier.
Yeah, I think Ben, you're right. There was a mention of 4 p.m. The meeting.
Yeah, I have the 19th.
Okay. And we're at the golf course confirmed, Ben?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good. I assume that we will do the meeting physical sit down portion in like the par 4 afterwards. Pick an area.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an area that they'd be able to have for you.
Okay. My only advice would be is like if we're showing any facts and figures that we have an area that has like a TV we can use, or like the town, you might have a projector we bring that put on a wall. Doesn't have to be the fanciest thing, right? But like probably should have some type of logistical, like we're not just sitting at the bar having a meeting, right? Like, we should have some type of like decent forum that we can have useful discussion.
There really
there's
isn't
lots of room.
anything there, Mike. There's no
So maybe
separate area.
I mean, there is a back, there's the bar area, there's the area to the right of the fireplace, and behind that, there's like the window area, right? So there is some areas where I'm sure we could just set up a separate table or something like that, or even outside there's tables. I just say is that there's not a TV we can have, and I just don't remember if there was any other areas. Like it might be worth just bringing a projector or something in case we need it.
Do they have Wi-Fi there? Because I'm going to be remote.
It's a great question. Most of the town buildings seem to be, and I would think they might even actually be able to use the pro shop, because 4 o'clock in November, it's dark by then.
No, that pro shop is no.
No?
There's no room in the pro shop for that. There's no tables or anything in the pro shop.
I think we could at minimum say that we have a voice call in if it's not videoed and everything for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure they have. It's not a town facility, Ben, so sort of, you know what I mean? It's like a quasi, I don't know what they have there. So we better check that we have that stuff before we schedule for the golf course. This is a big meeting. And I'm sure the golf advisory board is going to want to be there too. So I think, wherever we do it, it needs to be a little bit bigger with technology, I think.
That kind of argues for doing it at Thrive.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think we really want to go see the new building in the golf course and see some of the visuals. So I'll leave it to
Yeah.
you, Ben, to make the final decision. I think that we need a minimum at least a voice call. You know, any phone will do, right? To make sure that we can
Yeah.
tie people in. And I think we need
Yeah.
a place we can just sit.
Yeah,
So.
and I would think you would want a place that you're able to talk openly about all these things without tons of people talking about other things around you that just distracts from the whole thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be at 4 o'clock, there'll be people eating after their rounds and stuff, so not a lot of privacy there.
yeah, and I don't know how big, I know, and I have no idea how big Eric's office is down in the shop now with the renovations.
No, I don't think that's a good place. It's kind of like, it looks like the inside of Caddyshack. You know what I mean?
But they just did a nice renovation down there.
Yeah, they did it on the outside shell, not inside. Okay.
Okay. But I guess the question would be if there's not a kind of AV able spot to do it out there, would you rather have it at Thrive or a building that has that ability? Trying to think if there's anything even like close to that if you kind of tour and then you're able to kind of go right to somewhere else.
There's probably going to be a dozen people there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even mind if you ask if we'll call it the maintenance shed, right? They redid the outside. I don't know how the inside looks. It still look like Caddyshack, as you kind of said. But you know, if there's a conference room or a table in the maintenance facility, it doesn't mean we can't do it there, right? I mean, but the lawnmower is just going to be kind of quiet, right? As long as there's space to sit and you can set up, like, it's an option, right? It doesn't have to be like the best looking. I mean, it's a maintenance shed, right? It's like I walk in the shipyard.
Right.
It could be like.
I don't even know if they have heat, Mike.
I don't know. I'm just throwing some out there.
Yeah, no, I thought that was all part of the
Fire alarm
renovation. I thought
system
that was
in
part of
there
the
yet.
renovation is
Oh, too, Ben.
air handlers.
Sure.
It's an idea, right? I'll leave it up to you guys to make the final decision.
Okay.
Over. But I think we should know in the next like week, right? So we're not like 2 days before, be like, where we're going, what's the plan? We should have some type of
Yeah.
thing. But I think the idea is the 19th, 4 p.m. start. Maybe just do some email comms of what's going on. We should make sure that that's sophisticated so that like if the public want to show up, like we know, like I think in the next week the request is it's publicly posted, right? So that for us and for people that want to attend, like it's known, right? Like I think both reasons are a good thing the next week to solidify whatever racks out.
Now, is the main thing that you're looking at like the shop area, or were there other things? I'm just because we should turn back the clocks. Is it going to be dark at 4 o'clock? Like even 4 o'clock might be, you might be pushing sunlight then, right?
Yeah. Go back to regular
Yeah.
time.
It will be dark. I think we're going to change the clock pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it'll be dark at 5:30. Yeah.
Yeah, so where my head would be is if we were doing a tour, right? Like a couple of the new holes with improvements. I think there was 4 or 5 holes that got done at the end of the year, and the maintenance shed, right? That would be the, what you want to see in that half-hour block. So from 4 to 4:30, we thought it was light. That would be the value. If we're inside the maintenance shed, like I would hope there's lights, right? Hope we're not candlelit. And like if that could be done in the dark, but like that would be my takeaway. And if there's anything else they want to show us, like if there was a priority project, like I'd expect part of things to understand is, hey, although the golf commission recommends rates, I would expect the golf course, leadership to understand the current condition of the course, recommend the best projects coming up based upon the need, and then what they think to support those projects over the next 2 or 3 years, what the rates need to be, and how does that compare to local courses. To me, that's what I'm expecting to have being briefed from the golf course staff, right? And then that lets the golf commission in December and January, make their recommendation to us successfully, and then us understand, that recommendation is based upon something, and that's something we're going to have briefed to us next month. That's how I would expect to have it go down, in full transparency, let the expectation set. That's my expectation. Other commissioners can weigh in.
Well, Mike, I'll put together my thoughts on what the agenda should be. I'll send it to you guys and
Okay. Yeah,
everybody
maybe it's
can get a crack at it. The one thing for sure has got to be the software and the cancellation policy.
Yeah,
So,
and I did look it
Ben, I'll
up.
leave it up to you to-
It looks like 427 sunset. And is the tour part of the actual meeting, or does the tour take place beforehand? I guess would be the question. So like, does the meeting, is the meeting at 4:30, but a tour starts at 3:30 or something like that?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I just looked at today just as reference. Sunset today was 5:56, right? Basically now. So like, I don't know what it was like when we started, but I don't know what time was at whatever. So, if I would have thought that the agenda would have been basically, yeah, like a 4 o'clock start. I mean, we could do earlier if we want to do 3:30, that's fine. If we wanted to say 3:30 tour, 4:30 meeting or something, or 4 tour, 4:30 meeting, that's fine with me. I probably can't make it before 3:30 to be transparent with you. But like, that would work for me.
Okay.
Whatever the commission thinks is the best.
So this is Terry. Would it be helpful if we make a list of things that we needed to do during that day, and who are the people we're supposed to meet, and set some sort of expectation when we are meeting with the golf staff, just so that everybody's on the same page, make the meeting productive, set up a time, line up things. I'm just thinking out loud.
That's a good idea. So why doesn't each one of the commissioners get me what they want to see or discuss? We'll say, we'll just call it, by Sunday this week. Is that okay? Enough time for everyone?
Yeah,
And then I'll kind of package that for you, Ben, and send it to you and Mark. So you have hey, this is the type of info we're looking for. And then you can make the tactical agenda based upon the info we need. Like you'll be able to see, I think I need this person to talk to this person from their perspective. At least you'll see the content that we're expecting to be discussed. So figure I'll have that to you by end of Monday, then the 27th, Ben, so that you have time to go do whatever you need to do logistically.
Okay.
And Ben, if there are things that I can help you out, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, at least right now, talking to the golf staff, I mean, they both kind of are aware of the meeting there, and that's a plan for. So yeah, but the more things that were listed out to sort of help kind of prepare and make sure there's sort of answers for the things, I think the
Yep.
better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's good. I mean, it doesn't leave ambiguity there, right? It's very like cut and dry, in my opinion, of what the expectation is, right? It's set, written down, documented, codified.
Right.
I think we're at the end of the meeting today, so let me open the floor before I kind of ask to close. Is there anyone that wants to bring anything else up?
I do. So
Go for it.
I just wonder what happened to the pickleball court, the new name. I think the ratification, the 30 days, that's over. So what are the next steps? Anybody knows?
I believe there is going to be a secret unveiling of that. I'm trying not to. They've kept them away from it for a little bit. On, I guess if you're not doing anything Friday at 5:30.
Will the secret unveiling be on
Friday at 5:30?
That sounds like yes.
Got it.
You'll have your answer. Yeah. but there's been so much talk. I don't know. Yeah, I'm amazed that it may still be a secret.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I guess is that, yeah, I'm happy to go into specifics if you want me to, but,
Well, it would be nice well, you provided the time and day, would be nice to know the location.
I would say the place assigned would make sense. No, I would say yes, be at the outdoor pickleball courts at 5:30 or
This Friday,
5:15.
5:15 this Friday, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yep. And then I just got one suggestion, administrative wise. I'm looking at the minutes, nicely written, everything, it's great. I just want to suggest that because during a meeting discussion, typically we have action items. I thought it would be kind of nice to put them, in the minutes so that we know, everybody's on the same page. We know what the action item is. We know who is responsible, and it would be kind of nice to put like a timeline, person such to do something by the end of, let's say, November. Just a suggestion, something that you guys can take a look and, yep.
I guess I would say for that though, you would need to say, like say it was the pickleball courts. Hey, I want to have that sign up by Friday at 5:30. Ben, you're taking care of it. And then it would arise in the minutes. But if it's just talked about, hey, we should have a sign at the pickleball courts, we can't go back in and alter the minutes to assign it to somebody to do by that time. Like we can only put in the minutes what happens in the meeting.
Yeah,
At
so
least would
I
be
like your
my
both suggestions. What it almost sounds like is, I like the idea, Terry, of like, I think we just kind of change our verbiage, like as commissioners, if we want to do an action, I think we say, hey, we have an action. I want to make sure everyone's understanding this is the action, and then you just talk about it, and then it's good. So I think I like actions. I like action punch lists, right? It gets stuff done. So I think you clarify it that way, Ben. That takes care of your concerns, and Terry, it addresses your goodness you want to bring.
And it also allowed you to have resolution by the deadline so that that's being taken care of. I was kind of surprised to learn that like things on the golf course, they are like that for 2 years. And I think Jim, you mentioned something, and so if you have something, clearly document the issue, clearly document who is taking up on that issue, and clearly specify we need to address that by such time. And I think that would be great. It would things will get resolved.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I would think, I mean, I would think generally, and you guys would know probably better than me, but like, I mean, I know whenever I get a recommendation, Mark after a commission meeting will come to me, hey, this was talked about, here's sort of, and it's like, all right, I'm taking that into consideration and we're doing, sort of that thing that's asked, whatever it is. And either way, there's going to be some type of report back to you of exactly either why it happened, or you see it happen, or why it didn't happen, or some variation of that. This may be just unique that Mark went out, not too long after, the last meeting, and so kind of all the kind of pieces that are normally in place to, attention to these things, may not have been there as much as normal. At least, and that's speaking from my department, at least is how I do it. I don't want to necessarily say that's how everybody, but I would hope that was the way that everybody did it.
All right. Anyone else have anything to bring up before we adjourn?
I guess I just have the question of how is Mark doing?
He's getting there. I didn't see anything come today. I think he had a follow-up yesterday that I think if that went well, he was hoping to be back some part-time, either at home, maybe even in the office a little bit, starting next Monday. But he had an appointment yesterday to get that signed off on. But then I think the town needs to sign off on that. So there's some steps that, I expect within the day or so, we'll probably hear if he's back, a little bit shortly. But as far as I know, surgery went well, and now it's just the
Rehab.
work to get back.
Yeah, the rehab. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And for him, probably not overdoing it and trying to push it too fast.
Okay, I got to run. So good to see
Okay.
everyone.
You too, so I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second
I
that.
second it.
Second it, yeah.
All right, everyone's in favor. All right, have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you
All
later.
right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks all.